Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 29 female, am not close with my half-sister Kara, 33 female. She has always been very clear about not wanting to be close. She never takes up offers to stay with me, and the only times I've seen my nieces have been when I ask. I drive up, I take them out to dinner, and she calls the night short because they have an early bedtime. She has told me that she doesn't want them calling me auntie because it would be validating my father's cheating. Which is true, I am the cheating baby. Still, I wanted to have a relationship with my nieces, 4 and 6, but have now pretty much given up. I talk to them on the phone bi-monthly. I send presents and write them letters. I'm much closer to my brother's kids, and am an auntie to several friends' offspring. Kara, 33 female, called me up last month and asked to get coffee. We're about 2 hours apart, so it's a bit of a drive to see her. I agreed. She sounded rough. While Kara is my half-sister, she has no relation with my brother, who was adopted. There isn't a lot of other family members around to ask. Most are either too old, too young, or not a match. My aunt, 67, could not donate, even if she was a match. Most of Kara's friends have tried, and they are not matches. She asked me to get tested. I agreed, thinking I wouldn't be a match. Turns out I am. My husband and I decided that I wouldn't donate because we want to have kids in the future and don't want to risk my health. The doctor agreed to tell Kara I'm not a match. I've seen what happens to people who donate. I have a friend who donated, and her life is jacked. She has a lot of health problems, couldn't do the things she did before, and she's only 27. At 29, I don't want to suffer the same fate for the rest of my life. I just wonder if I should be honest with her at all. Will it do any good to tell her I am a match, but I have reasons to not do it? Wanting to have a child, not wanting to be ill. Would it just make it worse? She has already been told that I'm not a match and put on a waiting list. Part of me thinks I'm being selfish for wanting to tell her. Another part of me feels I shouldn't be lying to her about who I am. We have never been close, so I feel it's wrong to pretend I'm on her side, when really, I'm deciding to put my own health and life first. Do I tell her, or do I not? I just wondered how to handle this. I don't think OP should do anything further. There's a reason OP's doctor offered to lie, because OP and every other prospective donor have every right morally and legally to not have a part of their body removed for someone else's potential benefit. OP does not deserve to be criticized or have her life made otherwise difficult for choosing not to donate. Doctors are obligated to follow some pretty arcane ethical rules. If an ethical doctor agrees to obscure OP's test results, there's a good reason for it. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Deleted user says, I donated a kidney 6 years ago and have had no complications at all. But different outcomes do happen. Regardless, not wanting to donate is a perfectly valid reason not to. When you go through pre-donation screening, part of the process is a psychological screen to make sure you are willing, mentally healthy, and doing everything of your own free will. During my screening, the doctors explicitly offered to lie and make up a reason for why I couldn't donate if I decided at any point I didn't want to go forward. The offer is intended to ensure that families don't guilt people into donating who really aren't interested. I think your lie is perfectly justified to keep the peace. If she wanted you to help her down the line, she shouldn't have been cruel to you over things you can't control. I donated to my dad because he's a good guy, and I love him. I don't think I'd go through donation for a stranger, and I definitely wouldn't for someone who I didn't like much. Arthur Dane says, so you aren't her kid's auntie, but you are her sister? Sounds like you're family when it suits her. Keep your organs. Deleted user says, she's already been told you're not a match. Leave it at that. If you tell her otherwise, nothing good will come of it. She'll know you lied, and she may even try to convince you to change your mind. You decided not to donate. You don't need to tell her the reasons. I, 17 male, will be coming into a large amount of money when I turn 18. This is money that my mom, who died when I was 7, and my maternal grandparents accumulated for me since I was born. I won't say the exact amount, but it's between $500,000 and $1 million. The reason it's that much is my grandparents ran a successful business for many years, and they sold it 18 months ago, and all money from that sale went to me. They kept none of it. My grandparents have control over all of it currently. Before my mom died, she left them in charge of the account where she was saving. She was married to my dad at the time, but had wanted to secure my future in case anything happened, like dad remarrying and having additional kids. She didn't want to run the risk that once she was gone, her money could be used for someone who wasn't her kid. My dad knew some money had been saved for me by my mom, but was never aware of how much or how little it was. He also had no idea my grandparents continued saving for me. My grandparents told me about the money over a year ago. They wanted me to prepare for my future and to know I would have so many options because of the money available to me. They also mentioned it never bringing back my mom, but could alleviate the burden of becoming an adult. So here's the deal. My dad did remarry. He has a stepdaughter, 16, and a son, 5, with his current wife. They are not wealthy, and my dad's wife has prepared her daughter to try and work hard for scholarships and financial aid to get into college, because she wants to study to become a lawyer, I think. My dad had a similar conversation with me and had sat me down a few times since I learned of the money's existence to figure out what our plans would be. Eventually, I told him it wasn't going to be a big concern, and I told him about the money. He was like, "What the duck?" And then he told his wife, and they apparently went, "What the duck?" together, and told me I could be gracious and split the money when I get it between the three of us, and give the other two a chance to have a decent helping hand with college. I told them I would not be sharing it because it was created by my family, not theirs. Dad's wife argued that it would be incredibly selfish to take such a large amount of money and blow it on myself when I have two siblings who could also benefit in major ways from it. My dad told me even giving some of it to them, not a full split, but some money I have left at the end, would be amazing and would help my family out a lot. I told him I wasn't going to. They are so not happy with me. They told me that being selfish with this is not a good way to be. My dad is also pissed that he continued saving for me and divvying things equally between the three of us, when I have so much I'll have access to in a few months. Am I the a-hole? OP is not in the wrong here, but his father is. I think OP should ask his grandparents to put it in a trust until he is 25, and definitely out of father's house. It's not OP's responsibility to financially provide for his siblings' college education. That job belongs to their parents. Artistic Tough says, "Not the a-hole. Their reaction is exactly why your mom set it up how she did. She knew your dad well enough to know the money would not be yours and used for children that are not hers." Outrageous Shoe says, "Not the a-hole. For future reference, don't tell anybody else about your money." Successful Bath says, "Not the a-hole. This money was saved by your mom and grandparents to set you up in life. This money will get you through university and beyond. Your stepmom should have made provisions for her children. It is not up to you to provide for them. Stick to your guns and lead the life your mom wanted for you." My parents have a large family. I'm 17 male, the oldest of 10, and soon to be 11. I will be moving out of my parents and in with one of my friends in April when I turn 18, and then sometime in the summer we will be moving in together along with another friend. My friend's parents, who agreed to let me move in, are happy for us to stay until we find a place that works for us. I say all this now, so you'll get where my head is at. Anyway, my parents never should have had so many of us. They struggled when I was younger, and there were less of us. But they believe in having a lot of kids. They believe in bigger families being better, and dismiss the idea of needing to be financially capable of having all these kids. This has placed a lot on my shoulders from an early age. When I was younger and we had some contact with extended family, my parents would borrow birthday and Christmas money for the household and never paid it back. They would encourage me to try and do work around the neighborhood to earn extra cash. I did. It always went to them. I was also placed in charge of my siblings at times. My siblings had none of the expectations put on their shoulders, and it led to this weird hybrid issue of them being spoiled, but also being aware we don't really have enough, and expecting me to sacrifice for them, but also saying I'm the better parent of the three. And no, explaining I am their brother and not their dad has not helped at all. They don't want to do a thing for themselves. It's not a great dynamic. Once when I was 12, I was working solidly, first doing chores around the neighborhood, and then babysitting, And then I got an actual official part-time job. All the money I earn goes to the household, and it just about helps, but not really. I have said no sometimes, and my parents make a huge fuss out of it. I do not have contact with extended family anymore, and when I did try to reach out for help last year, I was told nobody wanted to deal with the mess my parents made. When my parents told me baby number 11 was due in May, I freaked the duck out. I cannot believe they keep going, and yet I can. But it was then I decided that I need to just make it through to 18. I do not want to make too much of a fuss, because my dad has connections to the local police, and if I left before I turn 18, I think he would call friends in. But my parents have been talking like I will stay at home for several more years, and they can rely on me working full-time and helping with the kids. So I sat them down and told them they need to figure their crap out, because they can't rely on me forever. I told them they were irresponsible and reckless having so many of us. I told them they had been failing as parents and needed to do better. They were pissed at me, but I'm sort of used to that. They're always pissed that I use the name Jamie instead of my legal name James. Jamie is too gay for them. But I did say more than I intended to, and I wonder if I went overboard. Am I the a-hole? OP's parents' poor life choices are not OP's responsibility. If OP stays, he'll never have a life of his own and have so many opportunities denied. OP needs to leave this household as soon as he can and not look back for a long, long time. OP's parents brought this upon themselves to raise so many kids, so it should be up to them to deal with. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Still Measurement 90 says, not the a-hole, but hear me out. You need to change tactics. Your dad's connections put you in danger. Shut up and quietly plan your exit. You're what's called a parentified child. It's not okay how they've treated you. You need to be ready to never speak to them again. As soon as it's safe for you, as in you've made a plan and you've set everything up for yourself in secret. Just get the duck out and mean it. You'll never get them to act differently, but you can have a very different life. But seriously, shut up about it. Because again, do not underestimate the danger you are in. IC Department says, not the a-hole. Time for your parents to actually carry their own self-imposed burdens. Get out as soon as you can. Make sure you have all your important documents such as birth certificate, social security card, if in the US, etc. Get them to fill out an FAFSA form if you can, so you can get grants to attend further education. Ask your school for help with this. Sarcosaurus says, not the a-hole, but it's probably a good idea to be as discreet with your plans as possible moving forward, since they'll probably do everything they can to sabotage them. If they don't know you're leaving and where you're going, don't tell them. If they manage to sabotage it, make new plans that you don't tell them about. It's just about escape at this point. If it's possible, you should also consider whether you want to go low or no contact. They'll probably try to reel you back in for the rest of your life. So you'll need to protect yourself from that in whatever way necessary. I, 24 female, got married very recently to my husband, 28 male. About a year before we got married, we purchased our first home. We did extensive renovations on the house and put a lot of thought, time, care, and money into it. It is our dream home, sanctuary, a forever home we don't plan to let go of. My cousin, 33 female, recently got engaged and is going to get married this year. She and I are very different in personality, so we have never been close. Our families, however, could not be closer. Her dad and mine are brothers. Some background. She and her husband, 33 male, both currently live with their respective parents. She was pursuing a nursing degree but left the program. She is not working right now. Her husband works. I don't know how much he makes, but it's an average income job. I mention this because they want to throw a big, extravagant wedding. I have my personal opinion about this, but I also understand that my opinion doesn't matter. It's their wedding, their life. I've never voiced anything other than a congratulations on the engagement. The issue is when there is an expectation that family should help them achieve this. I eloped with my husband, and while we didn't have a public wedding, we did throw an intimate reception on our new property. We live in a very quiet, scenic rural area on a small acreage. It is private and thoughtfully landscaped. We have a natural pond and our property is surrounded by the woods. We chose not to disturb the land around us too much, so some of the property line is in the woods. All this to say, it's not a lot of space as it seems when I say acreage. And also to say, without a doubt, it made for a very nice outdoor venue. I understand the appeal, but the key difference is, we had small wedding reception. My cousin wants a big 80-plus guests one. Still, I decided to hear my cousin out. I didn't know at the time how big she wanted her reception to be. I was placed under the impression that it would be like ours. I invited my cousin over, and she and I talked about how I set up my reception. I gave her kind of an outline she could use, including the catering, decor, florists, etc. I made her a meticulous package on Google Docs and shared it with her. She seemed to agree with everything I was saying with a smile. I told her my husband is away for 3 weeks, and I will be gone for a week as well. And if she wants, she is welcome to do some planning. Just give me a heads up. I always give my mom access to my home just in case, especially since both my husband and I travel a lot. My mom texted me if my cousin can come in with someone to plan seating arrangements outside, and I told her as long as she, my mom, is present to oversee, they can come. That's when I learned through my mom that she's planning an 80-plus guest wedding and extending the reception into our house, which I explicitly said in person and in my Google Docs is off limits. My mom told her she cannot tour with the organizer the inside of the home, that the owners have not given permission. This upset my cousin. When the organizers left, she became very upset and stormed out on bad terms. Her mother then called my mother to complain ruthlessly about me. I just got back today, and I'm told I'm being accused of being spoiled and selfish and small-hearted. None of these accusations feel warranted. I talked to my husband about what happened, and he told me the bride and her family are being disrespectful toward me, and as such, they do not deserve to host in our home altogether. He said he would revoke the invitation himself. I told him to let me think about it, how to best proceed. Would it be wrong to go back on my word and tell her I can't host her reception? It will cause her problems, but it's not my problem. Here is where I feel a bit a-holy. Edit. They are now offering to cut down the guest list, but I feel like the trust is no longer there. And their sudden animosity towards me makes me hesitant to put my home and self-respect at risk, just to appease extended family members. I don't believe they will follow through with their promises or honor the boundaries I've set. I feel like I was misled under false pretenses into agreeing in the first place. Flomo Joe Blow says, agree 110% with your husband. Revoke the invitation and be done with it. Entitled cousin has champagne tastes on a beer budget. No matter what you do, she's going to be hateful, so set her free. OK Reply says, not the a-hole. Who the duck is she talking about? She thinks she can be rude to you and use your home as a venue? Just say you have to have your venue somewhere else. Then block her and her mom and tell your mom that you don't want to hear anything from or about them. It's not rude, even though she deserves rude. It's not long. It doesn't have an unnecessary explanation. It's just what she needs to do while also conveying the message that you won't be hosting. Big Bro TKD says, not the a-hole. And in the discussion, did she ever mention who would be responsible for the cleanup? I'm sure they'd leave it for you and your husband. The cleanup alone is enough to not let the reception in your house.